Welcome to Z Multimedia Online. Don't forget to follow us on all our socials on TikTok at Z Multimedia, LinkedIn at Z Multimedia, YouTube, ZTV, IDX, and Facebook at ZFMGH. Do enjoy this video.
The acquisition of property. And so I believe we being here speaking to the general public on this kind of sensitization are things that draws people's mind to what they are actually supposed to do. So the first one I would want to talk about is that the laws relating to land in Ghana is a very complex one. We have elements of statutory law, we have elements of the common law, we also have elements of customary law. And so before you be able to purchase any land, you need to go through a process of a due diligence. And this one has to be done by a lawyer. A lot of times you see people, but we don't buy land or we don't buy property as we are buying some other goods in the market or some other goods from the shop. It's a very complex one. And so to be able to take that decision, I would always advocate that let a lawyer be part of the process. Or let someone who is quite experienced in the purchase of land so that the person can be able to help you ascertain what you need or what is the best decision you can make.
So you talk about due diligence. What goes into that due diligence apart from involving a lawyer?
Okay, so the due diligence process, it's quite a tall order. And I usually prefer to start with a fiscal inspection.
Okay.
So a lot of times people want land for particular purpose. Maybe you want to build a story building. Maybe you want to build a story building. Maybe it is a waterlogged area.
You have to do that fiscal
You have to do that fiscal inspection because if you don't do the fiscal inspection, you don't get to see the topography of the land. You don't get to experience what the land is about. Now, aside the fiscal inspection, that fiscal inspection process is supposed to give you an idea of what goes around the land.
Yeah.
So sometimes some of the land may have litigation issues. And so if you don't physically inspect the land, you wouldn't see some of these things.
Yeah.
Even I recommend a second inspection, which is fiscal inspection. For instance, in some of the areas and some of the cases we face, when a party comes to buy a land, the people know that that land is a litigation land or has issues on it. But they go and speak to the people you are coming to meet on the land. And so the first time you go there to go and inspect the land, or you go with the landowner or the supposed landowner, you will not have any issues. But go back a week or 2 weeks after, you go and meet some other people seated on the land,
right,
perhaps protecting the land. So the fiscal inspection, I always recommend it in two ways. One that you do as part of the process with whoever is selling the land to you, and then one that you do on your own. And the one you do on your own gives you an opportunity to see if there are certain things which you were prevented from seeing on the first occasion. It also helps you to have an opportunity to speak to owners of adjoining lands. Sometimes they have the memories of what has happened on the land and can be able to tell you. So the first I would recommend is always the fiscal inspection. Now, after the fiscal inspection, you are supposed to also do a search. That search should be at the Lands Commission to ascertain whether or not the land is in the name of the person who is intending that he sells the land to you.
Is that where you involve the lawyer, or this is something you can do yourself?
So you can do that yourself. I mean, by making an application to the Lands Commission for the search. But there has also been instances where the seller gives you a site plan to use for the inspection. You go, you do the inspection, it comes out that the land is in the name of the seller. But unknown to you, the land may not be the same land which the seller intends to sell to you. So even with going to Land Commission to do a search, I always recommend that get your own independent surveyor to pick the coordinates of the physical land he is intending to sell to you, so that you are sure that the search that is going to come out is actually corresponding with the land. Because in court, we experience situations where once there's land litigation, the court orders for a composite plan to be drawn. A composite plan is drawn, and you see that once they go and pick the physical coordinates of the land to draw the composite plan, the site plan which may have been given to you during the passage may be far away from even the physical land you are claiming as your land. So that is also one thing that you should do as part of the due diligence process. You are also supposed to check with the town and country planning unit of the assembly. Now I think the name has changed. I think it's land and spatial planning or something unit.
Yeah.
Because what you intend to use the property for, or what you intend to use the land for, may not be part of the purpose for which the land has been earmarked. So for instance, if you want to set up an industry, if you want to set up homes, it must be at residential, the homes must be at residential places, and the industry may not be set up at a residential place. So you need to also ascertain all this also from the assembly as part of your due diligence process. Now, the purchase of land in Ghana, initially I made a statement that you cannot purchase land as if you are buying any other product. So you don't go, they show it to you and you pay money. You need to get a lawyer as part of even your due diligence process to draft what we call a contract of sale. What a contract of sale does is that it gives you an equitable right over the land, not the legal right, because the legal right is what you go through after the conveyance process to get your indenture and the registration process. But the equitable right is that I have seen this, I am interested in this land, and I have paid something for the land. So as soon as I make that part payment, the land, quote unquote, becomes my property.
Right.
And so the contract of sale is what will safeguard that. And so based on the contract of sale, you can even tie the contract of sale to some of the due diligence process. For instance, once I check with Lands Commission and the land is in your name, I'll pay you 10% of the value. Once I finish doing my fiscal inspection, I pay you another 10%. So the contract of sale helps you, it safeguards you so that you don't go and put your money in, and at the end of the day, you realize that the person does not even have the title, and you tend to lose. So the due diligence process is a whole stretch of process which you must carry out. It is lengthy. It may take time, but it is the best way to protect your investment, because if you don't do that, you could end up buying litigation or not getting even any title at all, and you might end up spending much more than you would have spent to get a lawyer to lead you through the process of this due diligence.
Right, and that is in line with land. Is it the same thing for buying the house, a property?
It is not too different from that, because in buying the property, you need to still be able to ascertain the title of whoever is selling the property to you. I have had some people who are into real estate, and based on their experience, they have sold a lot of times with the real estate, it's off-take. You pay, and then it is built in a process for you. Maybe you pay this amount, this is done, and so all those things can crop up sometime later. Even if the whole building, when we talk of land, it's not only the bare land, but it includes the bare land and every other thing on it. And so if you have finished building and it turns out that even they didn't have the authority or the power to use that land or to sell that land, or they don't have title to the land, it means that you're also not going to get a good title, whoever it's being sold to. So the process is not too different.
So specifically, when it comes to buying the property, what are some of the mistakes that you see people make? Or is the same thing?
Okay, so a lot of times people don't go through the necessary due diligence process they are supposed to go through. Like all the steps I have mentioned, yes, they don't go through that process. Some try to cut corners. Some try to rely on some people's, knowledge of the land already. Some people's, they have bought land from these people before, and so we tend to believe them that once I'm buying this land from this person, I'm getting a genuine title. So a lot of times it is due to the due diligence process.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, still on documentation, I'm going to bring Benaiah has joined us now. Benaiah is a real estate agent. Benaiah Uche Rawlings. He's a real estate agent, and he's joined us now. And I'm going to bring him into the conversation shortly. But Benaiah, you can say hi to us, and then we can do.
Hi everyone. Sorry for being late.
That's okay. That's okay. Good to have you. I'm going to come to you shortly, but let me just stay with lawyer Kwasi Addo-Kwafo for a few minutes. So let's talk about documentation. Now, many people sign agreements when they don't really know what is in there. And I think that is one of the mistakes people make. What are some of the things that you have to look out for if you are signing, say, a sale agreement or maybe a tenancy agreement? What are some of the things that you need to pay attention to in there?
All right. So, yes, we usually say that people sign a lot of agreements and they don't actually know the content of it. On another side, people sign a lot of agreements and don't understand the content on it because they know. A lot of time it's just that they don't have the knowledge, especially the legal knowledge, to be able to understand some of the things that they are signing. But any contract as such that you would sign, especially in relation to real estate, in relation to land, must identify whatever you are buying. You must be able to identify the land in itself or the property in itself with its special characteristics. You cannot assume. So certain times people are buying, maybe I'm buying this property, it has an adjacent land to it, you may assume. But if you look inside the contract of sale or the agreement you are signing, that adjacent land which you see is not actually part of that agreement. So the property you are buying or the supposed property you think you are buying must be clearly identified.
Right.
And also the person who is selling it to you must also be well identified, and the person must have authority. As I stated earlier, we have statutory, our landlords are affected by our statutory laws about common law and customary. And a lot of lands in Ghana are owned by stools and then families. Some individuals do own some as well. Yeah. And so if you are buying it, you must also know where you are buying it from and whether the people who are selling it to you have the requisite authority. For instance, if it's family, is the family head together with principal members of the family. So if you have someone who is not the family head intending to sell that land to you, sometimes when you go there, you will see the members of the family because money is coming. So they would look at you, they will allow you to go through the process.
Yeah.
While the person who is actually selling it to you is not the right person. So you must also be able to investigate whoever is selling to you, the party that is doing the conveyance, the transfer to you. You must identify the person's authority before you move on.
Okay.
Sorry. And then another is that you must also be able to, in fact, when it comes to things like rent, the terms must be stated clearly. So we have interest in land in Ghana, and we have allodial title interest, we have lease, we have sublease, we have...
Are you able to break those ones
Okay,
down?
so the allodial title is the highest interest we have in land. Sorry. The allodial title is the highest interest we have in land. And it's as if you have the allodial title, it's like you own the land entirely or in perpetuity.
Right.
This is owned usually by stools, it's owned by some families, and in some places it's owned by individuals. Then we have the leasehold. The leasehold is that he's giving you a fixed term from what he has. So if, let's say, the land belongs to me, I'm giving you 99 years or I'm giving you 50-year lease term. So that means that after 50 years lease term, the land reverts back to the owner.
Okay.
Yes, unless you exercise a right to renew your lease. Yes. Then we have a sublease. So after that land has been leased to me, I can also lease part of my term to another person. That becomes a sublease.
Yeah.
And then if I am giving all my remainder of my term, so you've given it to me for, let's say, 50 years. I've stayed on the land for 5 years. I'm left with 45 years. If I want to give all the land to another person, that is an assignment. So anytime at all you are buying land, you must know the interest your grantor has, because the grantor cannot give a better title to you than he has.
Right.
And so that must be in your mind and know. So if I give you a document, when my head lease or where I got it from was a lease for 50 years, and I've been on the land for 20 years, what means is that my remainder is 30 years. If I'm giving you a document which says that the land is being leased to you for 99 years, that cannot be, because I don't even have that authority or that title to be able to give you that.
Right.
So you must also be able to know the terms which are involved. Then in terms of, so let me make a switch from, let's say, buying the land and coming onto the rent issues. So the rent is that, first of all, the person who is also renting to you, you must know who that person is, whether the person has the authority or whether the person is the owner. There are some buildings which we see which are family buildings and are being rented, and anybody in the family can rent and take the money from you when the person does not have that authority. So you must also investigate the authority of the person who is renting to you. Now, there are some obligations which are in the rent relationship. And that obligation, for instance, if there are structural damages or if there are certain things wrong with the building, who is responsible? All these things must be clearly spelled out. Some of the issues which ends up in rent control and the things which comes to our offices, some of them are some of these things because they are not well spelled out. You see something wrong with someone's building, and mind you, because of waste, the legal term waste, you just can't go and then start working on another person's building or doing something to a premises that you are renting without the express authority of who the owner is. And so in the same way, if there are defects with the building, you must be able to state that within the period that you are in that agreement of tenancy, who is responsible for what. That has to be done. Even in some areas, insurance, the building being insured, there is an insurance for the building and an insurance for whoever lives in it, your property, which is also attached to the building.
Right.
So you must also be able to spell out all these things as part of your preparations for.
So at what point should somebody bring a lawyer into such a property transaction for rent and... I think we're speaking a bit about the land already, so for rent.
All right. So for rent, usually we have a Rent Act, which the Rent Act is the legal framework that protects us in terms of the tenancy agreements. And the Rent Act itself has been, it was enacted so many years ago. And so sometimes we argue that some of it does not reflect some of the realities of today. And one of those issues, which I would commend the Commissioner for Rent now for what he's doing, because he's moving about, he's educating, he's sensitizing, and he's seeking to enforce the law and at least bring some modernization in. And one of those things is that you can only rent a place for 6 months. That is what the law permits as advance. But in reality, now it's almost as if 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, if the building is so expensive, then the landlord may consider and give you a
1
year.
Yeah.
But that is it's out of the law. It's not legal. But because of the deficit we had and the forces of demand and supply, sometimes if you don't take it, someone else will come and take it. And so we are forced to, take some of these things. So these are some issues that we face, as tenants.
Right.
Yeah.
So should you involve the lawyer in the beginning, or maybe before payment, after payment, or throughout the process?
Yeah. So as for the involvement of a lawyer, the very moment you take the decision you have to get a lawyer to even be able to guide you, because the due diligence process starts from the very moment you make up your mind to even rent a place or buy a place, before a lawyer even comes in. But because the act, as I was indicating, protects the parties in a way, because there are implied covenants in the act and all that. So even sometimes in the absence of an agreement in terms of rent, we believe that they are well protected in some ways because of the implied covenants which are in the act, the Rent Act. However, the best thing is to get all these things spelled out. And so to be able to do that, you will need the services of a lawyer.
I see. But so maybe finally, before I come to Benaiah, so from a legal risk perspective alone, would you say that renting is safer than buying, and or does each of them come with their own unique risks?
Okay, so each of them come with their own unique risk, but I think the decision of whether to buy or whether to rent, it's in the absence of the law, is more or less a financial decision.
But I want to look at the legal part,
because with the legal part, you are well protected by the laws. We have laws which protect you if you want to buy, and we have laws which protects you if you want to rent. So the legal aspect does not come in so much in that decision, because if you are willing to buy, just make sure that you comply with the laws involving the buying, and if you want to rent, you comply with the laws involving renting. So that decision still boils down to be a financial decision, but legally you are covered in whatever aspect.
Okay, right. Let me bring in Benaiah here, but just before that, if you just tuned in, this is Business Breakfast on Z101.9 FM with me, Nitrebi Hammond, and this one we're talking about whether renting or buying is the way to go. We're looking at whether it makes financial sense and whether it makes legal sense. My guests are lawyer Benaiah Uche, who is a legal practitioner, and also Benaiah Uche Rawlings. He is a real estate agent, and he's joined us in studio as well. So we're going to bring him shortly. But you are free to join the conversation. Send us a WhatsApp on 0544321019, 0544321019, or you can call us on 03039566641, 03039566641. Let us hear your questions and your thoughts as we go on this morning. You can also drop a comment on our live stream on Facebook at ZFMGH and also on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Would love to hear from you this morning. But now, let me bring you now. So once again, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you. All right. So from a market perspective, what is really happening with property prices and rent in Accra today?
Property prices for sale or property prices for rent?
For both.
For both. I think majorly for sale is still being pushed by an act of speculation, to be honest.
How so?
So usually in more sophisticated markets, if you want to sell a property, you do what we call a quick market comp. What happens is that if, for example, we have a property here in East Legon, I'm going to take a look at the properties that last sold around this lane or around this street. I'm going to have a look at these properties and how much they sold for. And I would look at the average prices of these properties and I will compare it with the current status of mine. And that's how I figure out the pricing.
Right.
But right now, we don't even know some of the prices we use for marketing in some properties are not even authorized. I mean, someone can just get up one morning and say, I've got a 4-bedroom house in East Legon and I want to sell it for $950,000.
And nobody questions it.
Nobody questions it. And another time you could see this in the same East Legon, you could find another 4-bedroom selling for maybe $350,000, $400,000. So, and then you're like, okay, why these vast varying prices? $950,000 in East Legon, and another property, same size, for maybe $400,000. So you're like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
So there are no uniform prices, and there is no committee or a board that stipulates how homes should be priced. And even if there is, it's not in execution.
Is that a problem?
It's a very huge problem because then it causes some really huge confusion. I want to, because then I begin to, doubt the quality of the home being sold at $400,000. You get what I mean? I mean, I'm going to try to stop quoting homes in dollars right now. Just I'm used to it, but so I'm just going to revert back to cities. So let's say around maybe 4.5 million cities, and another one being sold for 10 million cities, right? And in the same premises, in the same area, there is no just cause. There's nothing you can say that this is why this home is sold for this price. And obviously people say, oh, it's got more space, it's got more modern appliances, it's got sophisticated whatever. But I just think there's just so much, there's so much
disparity.
Disparity between homes sold for this and homes sold for that. And maybe the guy who sells his home for 10 million cedis successfully sells it for 8 million cedis. Mr. Kujo, who has so much money in the bank or so much cash, can, all right, you know what, he sold his for 8 million. How about I build something in the same place within the same community,
right,
and then sell for maybe 8 million, 7 million, and that's how homes have been sold. And sometimes people go in, they sell. Other times people go in and then they don't sell.
How about the rents?
Rent is pretty much the same thing. So rent is, I think it's much better than before. Any landlord or anyone who wants to rent out a property, the first question they ask is, how much do you think this home is worth? I think unlike maybe 5 years ago, where a landlord can just wake up in the morning and say, I'm charging 5,000 cedis for a 2-bedroom in Abuba. Now, if you have a home, the first thing you do is to inquire from people like myself, or maybe from a friend who has a property nearby, and then just maybe driving up to those places and ask how much those apartments go for. I've got many landlords doing this. So if I say, hey, I think you should price this home like this, and they will tell me, but I just drove to these apartments and I just went here, and that's good because now they are well informed, and in these decisions, are better. It's been backed up by information, by data. Prices, I think it's a bit more stable than that of selling selling homes.
But are prices of properties still rising faster than salaries?
Yes.
Or incomes?
Yes, it's in quadruples. For example, which doesn't make any sense. You get it, but at the same time, there's a drive for this, a huge drive.
What drive?
People would say is, much people flowing into the city of Accra. Better jobs, whether we like it or not, there are better jobs. There are jobs that really pay good. Okay. Of course, you still have the middle class crying out and saying there is no job, there is no promotion, but there is. It's a matter of making good use of your head and actually working smarter, figuring out where opportunities lie. And take a look at this. There's this guy I used to work with. He's a mason. Before, he was being paid, I think, 100 cedis per day. Now do the math. If he was booked like 28 days, or let's say 25 days out of 30. Do the math. 100 cedis per day times 25. That's 2,500 cedis at the end of the month. But that was like 5 years ago. Now he's worth 300 cedis a day. So do the math. The same math. 300 times 25. I mean, I don't know how much that gives you. That's about close to 6,000 cedis a month.
Yeah.
This guy has no degree, has no certificate whatsoever. He's amazing. In some places, it could even be higher, especially in more very sophisticated structured buildings. It could go as high as 350, 400. And if he decides to do overtime, that's also more money. So the chances of people making more money in Accra is there. And for these reasons, it attracts all kinds of people. The more it attracts, the more it fuels everything: economic activity, price of goods, price of services, price of food, and also price of real estate. So whether you are coming to rent a property, you can go to Kumasi and you comfortably see a 2-bedroom house. You pay 500, 600 cedis a month, maybe somewhere in Santasi or Brofiedu, comfortably pay maybe 600, 700, maybe 1,000 cedis for a 3-bedroom house. But here in Accra, a comfortable 3-bedroom house is nothing less than 5,000 cedis.
Yeah, that's true.
See the difference? Now, if this should happen in Kumasi, trust me, that price would go up as well. So it's just, bringing, opportunities that opens door to all kinds of people flooding into Accra and all that. So that's why these prices go up.
So it's a demand and supply thing.
Speaking about that, demand and supply, only specifically to a group of people.
How so?
And the stats is only about the homes we have at the market, right? It's high end, mid-level, and then low end. Most of the homes being built, the homes you see, I'm helping solve the deficit. It's mostly high end. These are homes you see in cantonments, the tall high rises, 200 apartments, 400 apartments. These are high end homes.
Yeah.
These high-end home make up about 55% of homes being built. When they say I'm helping solve deficit, these homes being built, obviously most of them want people to rent them, either foreigners, diasporans, people with who earn more money, in a good state of comfortable to afford such places. Only about 25 or maybe 30% of those kind of people could rent these homes. So that's the reason why you have homes being built and they still have a very large deficit. There are only few people who build homes, middle income homes, lower income homes, because there's no money there. No businessman would say, hey, I want to build homes that I want to give out for 500 cedis a month or 600 cedis a month, when I know that the same land can help me attract people that can pay 2,000 cedis a month, 2,500 cedis a month. So that's why the lower income developments are not really an interesting industry or an interesting project to go for anyone who wants to do business or do business, real estate as a business.
Yeah.
So That's just where it's not fair.
I see.
Most of the homes being built are so expensive, so high income, like people call it, so high end, that only a very few minority can rent these homes.
Right.
And then the rest of the people who can't rent are just maybe stuck somewhere, forced to stay far away from Accra or far away from the city, where homes are a bit cheaper. And funny enough, even in those places, homes are beginning to rise. Because the more people are Accra is just growing, and there's nothing we can do to stop it.
All right, they do. But some people say, I mean, back to a conversation, some people say that rent is a waste of money here in Accra. You know, you probably just find a location somewhere in a village and go and buy a property and you'll be fine. What do you have to say from your experience? Is that always true?
It's not true. I mean, I wouldn't say rent is a waste of money. I mean, can you afford the homes being sold?
And that leads me to my next question.
Because they can't. You can't. The average homes being sold, the average 3-bedroom, okay, two bed, average 2-bed selling in Accra. I mean, let's pick a location because Accra is big.
Yeah.
Let's say in more affordable areas like Oyarifa, Amahia, Adenta, right? It's not less than $80,000. It's not less than 800,000 cedis. How much? Okay, do the math yourself. How much are you paid to, or how much can you save to afford 800,000 cedis?
How long will you save?
And how long will you save? That's one part of it. Going to the bank requires you to pay to earn at least a certain amount of money, usually 4,000, 500,000 cedis. And you need to make sure that in all your expenses, you must not exceed you need to have enough money that covers 40% of. So it means that all the money you earn, if you need to have a space of, I don't know how to put it, but you need to have a space of 40%. They can't take more than 40% of your total income.
Right.
So if after you've taken out all your expenses and food and school fees, and it's still not up to 40% left, the bank you can't qualify. So most of the time, that's the reason why people can't qualify for a certain amount of money.
Right.
They're forced to go downwards, a lower loan. So if you can't afford these homes, what then are you forced to do? It doesn't make any sense to go buy a house in Dodwa or Ayukuma for, say, 500,000 cedis. Meanwhile, you work in Accra or you work in, East Legon or Central Accra. It doesn't make any sense. Of course, you can buy, an affordable house over there, and that's the thing. Another thing I want people to maybe reconsider is buying resale houses. It's something people don't really look at.
What's that?
So resale houses are homes that maybe my mom stayed here and she passed away. Look, I don't have an interest in this place. I want to sell it. There are homes like that.
Okay.
It may not be, of course, it may cost a bit more to renovate, fix up, do this, do that. I mean, but it's still a home. You don't necessarily have to go get a brand new, branded, flashy, more aesthetically pleasing homes, and then stretch yourself and go for a loan, and you pay for over 25 years. You go pay so much. So the banks can't give lesser interests. The interest right now for city mortgage is anywhere between 20. It's above 2 digits. This is 20 something percent, 25, 26, 23%. And this is depending on your credit score. You get it?
Yeah.
So homes are expensive, yes, of course, due to what's happening in the city. Outside of Accra, it makes sense, yeah. If you work from home, if you work from anywhere close, yeah, of course, go get a home near those places. But if you work in town and you work in Central Accra, it makes no sense to
right,
go.
but of course, Accra is not Ghana. So
yeah.
So let's open the conversation up a bit. So I know that you won't advise somebody to have that mindset of
No.
that. That renting is
No,
but-
renting. So you rent because you need a place to stay. What I do say, don't rent, don't break the bank. Don't lose so much money going to rent a place.
Yeah.
If you have a long-term plan, for example, I'll take myself for example. Luckily for me, due to some of the things I do, I have landlords who do, monthly. So where I currently stay, I pay about 2,000 cedis a month, and I pay per month. Now I can afford 6,000 cedis a month. I've seen nice homes that fits my lifestyle. Lovely gated community.
Right.
But I stay in Oyarifa, and I've seen really lovely places I can move to. I can afford it. But I have a long-term plan of maybe settling one day, buying a house of my own, and maybe going in there and staying. So I can't, because I know I can afford it.
Right.
It doesn't mean I should pay for it.
Yeah.
So I have to take a step back and then think about my future, save the remainder of the money, save as much as I can into buying a house that I can afford.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually that's what I'm doing. Maybe by next year I might buy my first house, somewhere, and not even in the city. Buy in where I can afford.
Exactly.
Or Yarifa, Adenta, somewhere not too far, So it's understanding this activity, this life decisions helps. It's not just about bragging. It's not just about breaking the bank. It's not just about what you can afford. You need to think about your future, think about your lifestyle, think about who you want to be for yourself and kids and family, and then make better decisions. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let me just announce the phone lines for the one more time, for the last time before we go. So if you just tune in, you can send us your WhatsApp text. If you have questions, feel free to send them to me. 0544321019. 0544321019. You can also call me on that same number. If you have questions or you want to make some comment, feel free to call me. 0544321019. We're streaming live on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. I have some comments coming in. Let me just read this one. It says that watching you live from East Legon, I like the way your guests are educating us on lands. Thank you very much for your education. That's coming from Mami Ikuyasafoa. Drop that on Facebook. You can also send your messages and keep them coming. I'll read them for you. We have just about 3 or 5 minutes to go, and so we'll touch on a few more things and then we can wrap up. But Benaiah, so I was going to ask you who should realistically think of buying and who should not rush into it, but it looks like I get the sense you're trying to make. If you're looking at outside Accra, maybe some village somewhere, and there's a nice property there.
Accra is not a village.
No, I'm saying outside Accra. I didn't say Accra is a village. I didn't say
Even outside of Accra is still not a village.
Maybe not in the city. Yes, in the capital city. And you want to look at a space somewhere that is quite affordable.
Yeah.
And you want to buy, that's fine. But it's realistically, you can also look at renting in here. Now, what needs to change? You've talked about some of the problems that we see in renting and property space. What needs to change, maybe in terms of policy and all of that, so that we can make that space better and make it easy for people to be able to acquire property, to be able to rent and all of that, from your point of view? Benaiah, then I come to you, then we wrap up. Yeah.
I think it needs to start with the drivers of real estate, the foreigners. You have the real estate consultants, the developers, the agents, the broker, the banks, the mortgage advisors, all these guys. I think it's honesty and genuinity. Like, we need to say the truth. When not everything has to do with money. If we can forgo the ego, the flashy part of it, the flashy commissions, and just speak the truth, which is something I try to do all the time. Just say the truth as it is.
All right.
Truth is, real estate is it's not cheap. It will never be cheap. That's the truth. Real estate will continue to be expensive year on year on year, and there's nothing you can do, especially in a place like Accra. I like to use Accra because that's where, although I've done real estate in other parts of Ghana as well, but I'm using Accra because that is where most of the activities happen, most transactions happen. I've done transactions in real estate in Cape Coast. I've done another in Kumasi. I think between Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Accra, that's where my strengths are. But yeah, Accra has that majority of it. We have to just say the truth. I mean, the policies are there. The ministers doing what they can, the crackdown, reducing of rents. I was talking to some landlords and I said, look, hey, government says no more 1 year rent. Some of them said, that is not true. It will never work. This is Ghana. It will never work. And that is, I'm a consultant. I'm not going to say we have to do. I'm saying this is what the government says, and I advise us to do it. But they are telling me it will never work.
Right.
This is Ghana. It will never work. So that's what I'm talking about. The drivers of real estate, we have to make it work. We have to listen. If Mr. Kojo is not willing to listen, Mr. Kwame should. If Mr. Kwasi is somewhere else and sees that Mr. Kwame is doing it, he's going to do it.
Right.
And the more the majority starts seeing, some people do it, a time will come where everybody does it. But we just have to be, truthful and listen to what the government says, abide by the law, even if no one's doing it. But the drivers of real estate needs to start.
That. Right, thank you. Let me hear from lawyer Kwasi Addo-Kwafo, and then we can wrap up. So,
Sony, a friend of mine who is into real estate always says that the money you use for renting is not the same money you use for buying. So, I mean, if your money is not that which is meant for buying, then yours should be that which is for rent. But what I have to say is I have a house in Nsawam. So usually I spend my weekends in Nsawam.
Okay.
But I rent here in Accra to be here to be able to do everything. Some few years back, I mean, there has been days, like especially Sundays or something, it takes me about 20 minutes to drive from Nsawam to Accra. And there isn't any traffic. So if it's going to take me 20 minutes or 30 minutes to drive to work, there is no problem. But we have issues with our roads as well, our infrastructure. And so if you have issues with the roads, how do you live in Nsawam and come? I know so many people who have houses in Nsawam area, but they are all forced to come to Accra and add up to the already compounded problems of rent here. But Nsawam is not too far. And so if we have good road network, even if we had a shuttle train systems and all that, people can come from Koforidua and other things to work in Accra. And so there wouldn't be so much pressure. Those days when the Nsawam trains were working, it takes you about 15 minutes and you are here in Accra. And so one way we can solve it, aside the efforts which is being put in by the real estate people, is to think of developing the infrastructure, our roads. And that would enable people to live far from the capital and still be able to come and do whatever they want to do. And I believe that would resolve the issue. Currently, if you come to Nsawam, the prices of land in Nsawam is escalating. And that is because people are foreseeing that as soon as the main Nsawam Accra road is done, all a lot of people are going to move away from Accra to live in those areas. So
and the real estate guys will tell you that is one of the things they look at. The road network, once it is connected, the prices will begin to rise. But guys, thank you so much for coming. Maybe finally, I have a question here from one of our listeners. It says that, is it legal for agents to take commissions from both the purchaser and the vendor?
Okay,
in 30 seconds.
We get these questions a lot. So is it in selling, right? Is it legal for agents to take commissions? Yes, it is. But the law
states in renting,
in renting. So this is it. This is how it is.
How do you call that? Viewing fee and some things and all of those.
See, the thing is, look, I'm an agent myself, and I try to be honest. I'll start with the viewing fees. If an agent tells you that there is no law that says don't charge viewing fees, nah, it's not there. No one says it's my service. It's a form of consultation fees. So if I say I want to show you this house and this is how much I require to show you, and if you don't like it, fine, then please, it's fine. Okay, that's every agent. And I don't take, when I started 7 years ago, I used to take viewing fees, 50 cedis, 40 cedis, 30 cedis. But at the time, I felt like, I'm making so much money that I can now put out some money for expenses and everything, fuel, Uber. So I stopped. I didn't see any sense in that. But for some people, it's their mode of operation, so it's fine. It's okay. Then charging commissions, whether for renting, is, for example, if you come to me to say, hey, I want you to help me find a house to rent. Now that is a duty I owe to you. It's called a fiduciary duty. Now you want me to do something for that is a service I'm performing to you.
Right.
Now you need to pay me a commission for that. It's not for free.
Okay.
Now I go to Mr. Kojo who owns a home somewhere and I say, hey, this person wants to. Now I say, Mr. Kojo, I'm bringing you somebody. I think you need to pay me a commission. Now that is legal. The law says communicate to both of them. So I will tell the man who wants me to find him a place and say, hey, you're going to pay me a commission. He's paying me a commission. And even if it's 10% or whatever, how much we agree, that's legal.
That's right.
Now, where it is not legal is maybe I'm advertising a home and you see a property you say, hey, I want to rent this property. They're like, lawyer say no.
All right.
I disagree.
I disagree.
with him.
You will not spoil the agent business.
Yes. I disagree in the sense that the law is clear
Right.
on what agency relationship is. So an agent is a person who acts on behalf of a principal to establish relationship with a third party.
Right.
So once you are an agent and you're an agent for your principal, you don't go and take money from the third party that you are establishing the relationship with.
No, so I
And
think
so
it's a bit different. So it's not. I think I only explain one part of it. It's a bit different.
I wish we could continue this conversation. It's getting interesting, but unfortunately our time is up and we have to go.
I get it.
Yes, I wish we could have gotten some more time, but that's not possible. But there's a message from somebody. It says that the mindset of resellable homes must be encouraged. I think that's what you're talking about. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. I'm really grateful. Hopefully we can have further conversations in the coming years. But let's talk after.
Definitely. I really want to talk to you.
All right, thank you very much. Benaiah Uche Rawlings is a real estate agent, and lawyer Benaiah Uche Addo-Kwafo is a legal practitioner. These are the two individuals who joined me this morning for our roundtable discussion. If you miss any part of it, feel free to visit our social media platforms. It will be on Facebook at ZFMGH and on YouTube at Z Multimedia. Please go and play back and get a sense of exactly what we spoke about this morning. But that's how we wrap up today on the Business Breakfast on Z 101.9 FM. We're back again tomorrow for some more interesting conversations. My name is
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And also do follow us on all our socials. On TikTok at Z Multimedia, LinkedIn at Z Multimedia, YouTube at Z TV, IDX, and Facebook at ZFMGH.